Are we live?
I think so. I think we're live.
Are we live, you guys?
Hi, guys.
Can you see us?
Hi.
This round.
Hi, Justin.
Hi, Justin.
Hi, David.
Hi, David. Hi.
MCQTMC hotness.
Oh, now we're live. Hi, guys. Are we live? Can you see us? I don't know if we were live before or we're live now.
I think we were
Is
live.
the camera straight?
Catch Beth and Body. Hi. Are we live? Can you guys give us a thumbs up if we're live, if you guys can hear us?
Give us a thumbs up if you can see us.
You are.
Okay, good.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Justin. All right.
We never know.
Hi, guys. Welcome to our Friday live.
This is our third episode of our live show, which is
Third?
kind of exciting.
Third episode. Hi, Miss Hotness.
Hi, Miss Hotness.
I'm going to call you Miss Hotness.
We had so much fun last time. It was one of the most amazing experience. So David and Justin, thank you so much because you guys were there last time. And Miss Hotness and KAG, Bath and Body. Hi, hello. Thank you for joining us.
Welcome.
Welcome. All right. We actually have quite a bit of stuff to talk about today.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that we wanted to talk about today. First thing that we wanted to talk about is that we are going to be coming out with our podcast. Hopefully, fingers crossed, this Monday.
This Monday, yeah. And it's going to be what Trump has done for women. Again, could not get it all in one podcast. It's going to be a two-parter. Really try to get it all in like 1 hour, but it ended up being a 2-hour podcast.
Yeah.
And I think we broke it up pretty well. We did, first of all, we did the historic connection of the GOP and the Republican Party to women and women's issues. And then what Trump was like towards women before he even thought of running for president and how he's helped elevate women. And then in the second part, we actually talk about what the GOP and Trump have done to help women during his first 4 years in office.
Yeah, and the reason why we like to keep these podcasts around the 1 hour mark is because, unfortunately, it takes forever for us to upload a podcast to YouTube. It takes minimum 9 hours just to upload it. One of our podcasts, it took us 3 days to upload a video to YouTube, so...
Which is just ridiculous. It takes so long. Yeah.
Yeah, I can imagine if we uploaded a video that was 2 hours, it probably would never upload.
Yes.
I don't know how other people do it, but for us, it doesn't work, so...
It doesn't work. And if you guys have any tips or anything, please send them our way and let us know, because we would love to know what we can do to make it better. We're thinking it just has to do with our computer. That's kind of what we're assuming.
Oh, good, Justin. I'm so glad you've been looking forward to this all week.
Us too. Yeah. Yeah, and hi, Skittles.
Hi.
Oh, thank you, Skittles. Thank you so much.
Thank you for all of your comments. They're really amazing.
Yes, definitely. And it's actually really cool because I think we've talked about this before. We do put in a lot of work and it's a lot of effort. And, when we first started, we didn't even think anyone would know or notice or listen or anything. And so, when people actually acknowledge it, it just makes me feel a little like warm and, fuzzy inside. It makes me feel really good. It's nice. Thank you.
Hi, Elizabeth.
Hi, Elizabeth. Hi.
Okay, so let's get into it. Let's talk about what we're going to talk about today so we can let everybody know.
Okay, definitely.
So we're going to talk about Cardi B. We're going to do a little update about that since we talked about last podcast. And then we're also going to talk about...
So we're going to talk about Cardi B. We'll talk about Allan Dershowitz. He's the famous lawyer that actually defended Trump during the impeachment trial, even though he was a Hillary Clinton supporter and voted for Hillary Clinton. We'll also talk about Florida, everything that's happening in Florida. Hi, Tube Trends. Happy Friday. Hi. And obviously there's so much, talk about Trump conceding and not conceding, so we'll talk about that a little bit as well. You know, Ruth Bader Ginsburg passing. That's something that we have to talk about.
Yeah.
So there's a lot to cover
All right.
in one day. Yeah. So, okay. Before we start, I actually just kind of wanted to ask you guys, and this is purely like out of personal interest. I'm just really, really curious. Since last week, we have been riding on a high. It was literally like the most amazing week for us. Thank you so much to all the people that you know tipped us.
All of the gifts. Have been
It was
amazing.
just incredible,
especially for New Year's.
Yes, it was the coolest. It was the coolest New Year's for us. It was so cool, super unexpected, and we were so happy. And so since then we've been kind of like riding on high, and then it was also very cool because the comments in the chat were all saved, so we were able to go back and read them. And I don't. We just kind of felt like it was kind of like a really cool community of people, and everyone was super genuine and super supportive.
Yeah.
And super like involved. And you know, I'm just really curious. Is this, you know, if you guys have you guys been part of like other live videos? Like, is this normal? Is this just special to our group? I just felt like there was something really, really special, and obviously, you know, we're like facilitating this, and you know, so maybe like we felt special, but in reality, you know, this is like totally normal. I don't know, but I'm just really curious. I'm really, really curious if other people felt that as well, because we've been just on a really cool high ever since.
It was a really amazing experience, especially since it was New Year, the Jewish New Year. You know, and we just hope to be able to continue these live podcasts, these live YouTube every Friday, and we hope that you guys are enjoying it.
Yes, and thank you guys for joining us, for real. Thank you. Oh wow, okay.
Oh, okay,
thank you.
Good to know, Tube Trance.
Thank you. That's really cool to know. Okay, we really enjoyed interacting with you guys, and you guys kind of made it.
I think that's the whole purpose of going live, is so that we can interact with you guys.
Really? Oh my God, Justin, that really means a lot. The fact that, I mean, you're not even, haven't been taking part of this, and now you're actually looking forward and jumping on it means really a lot. It's really fun, because we're really looking forward to it as well. And, you know, we're always wondering, are the people going to be the same this Friday? Are we going to have new people?
Yeah.
Are the old people going to be there? So it's just so nice to see the same people.
Yeah, it's really nice seeing the same, you know, familiar faces. Elizabeth, I love that. That's really
thank you
really
for setting a reminder. Yeah, thank you. That really means a lot, actually. And thank you, Cher. Yeah, it's really cool. You know, it's I don't know if we can call it like a fan base. I think it's just like a whole bunch of like-minded people who just came together, and you know, we're just
like-minded community.
Yeah.
Open dialogue. You know, that's one of the things that we really wanted to create in with House of DMaaj, is that we really feel like there's a lack of dialogue nowadays. It's like my side versus your side, and that's not what we're about. You know, we really want to create a community of dialogue. Even if you disagree with us or agree with us, like, let's all discuss it.
Yes, definitely. And Miss Hotness, thank you so much. We would love it. Really, really love it. And you can comment in the video, like not in the chat, but like in the video. So below, that way we'll be able to see it in case YouTube erases the comments, which we've had happen before and then didn't happen other times, so we don't know if it's going to happen. But we would really, really, really appreciate it. We would love it. That would be really, really great. Or you can send us an email. Anything that helps. We're also technologically challenged, so you know, any help is super appreciated.
Or we are very technically challenged a lot.
And Elizabeth, oh my God, yes, safe spaces are so important right now.
Yeah.
And I don't remember if you said where you are from, but you know, where we are, there's no safe space. Like, the only safe space is basically our apartment. And you guys, that is our safe space.
Yeah.
And that's really why we started this, because we just, you know, we were talking and we were like, there has to be other people who felt the same way, where, you know, they don't feel like there's a safe space. And, you know, so I think last time we had someone from Portland, and we were joking that they're the only conservative left in Portland. So these kind of, you know, get-togethers create a really cool safe space for people.
Yeah, very fun.
So, okay.
All right.
Should we talk about Cardi B?
Yes.
Okay, so this is kind of really cool, because we talked about this last week, and honestly, I thought, that's it, we're done, you know, don't have to hear about her anymore. And up until that interview, we literally, I mean, we knew who she was, but not really. We knew she's a singer.
Right.
Yeah. Don't know any of her songs specifically. Now I've had the I don't know if I should call it the pleasure or misfortune of hearing some of her songs, which I think are just really crazy. Some of what we heard, but in any case, it's kind of interesting because literally just a couple of days ago, we read an article that talks about she's being sued. There's a defamation lawsuit against her because apparently her sister and her girlfriend and a couple of other people went to a beach in Long Island, and they saw some people wearing MAGA hats, and according to them, they were attacked because they showed up and speaking Spanish, and they were people of color, and these racist, homophobic MAGA supporters immediately attacked them. And so Cardi B went online and did this whole video where she shared the video of her sister supposedly being attacked, which is hilarious because the whole video is her sister attacking these MAGA people.
Let us know if you guys have seen that clip in the chat, so we know if you guys know what we're talking about. That would be really interesting to know.
Yeah, and Miss Hotness, we are in California. Yes, no safe spaces. Really, really scary. And that's actually part of the reason why we decided to do this channel in drag, because it allows us to stay anonymous and safe, and we, and we don't have to worry about stuff. So that's part of the reason. But yeah, it was really crazy because I watched this video and it's her sister yelling at this guy wearing a MAGA hat, and they're basically telling her to just go away. And then she posted this video saying that she was attacked. Anyways, now because millions of people saw these people's faces.
Hi, V Parker.
Hi, V Parker. Hi. So glad. Yes, so glad you were able to catch us. So now they're getting death threats. People are finding them. I mean, they're Long Island, really close to New York. So those are very liberal spaces. So, for them as conservatives, and as someone who just decided to wear a MAGA hat on the beach, right, to protect themselves from the sun, are now getting death threats, and they're legitimately scared. So she's being sued for defamation against them because they're saying that never happened. And even the video that she shared actually kind of proves that. So I'm all for it, and I think it's great, and it's absolutely ridiculous, and it's just another pattern of just showing MAGA supporters and conservatives as these like horrible racist people, which I think is ridiculous. But she's being sued for assault, battery, defamation, civil rights violations, and the funny thing is that all of this happened supposedly over a parking spot. These people were on the beach. I don't know all the details. I wasn't really that interested in it, to be honest with you, just because it's Cardi B. But apparently it all happened over a parking spot where Cardi B's sister did not get the parking spot she wanted. These other people got it, so she attacked them. Really, really crazy stuff, basically. Really, really crazy stuff. So that was really, really interesting.
Yeah, the thing is, it's like as we get closer and closer to the election, people are getting more and more angry and frustrated and annoyed. I mean, we've even encountered it ourselves. Just, people are just on edge, and it's just over the smallest things. I mean,
Yeah, actually, we forgot to wear it. We were gonna wear a little "Women for Trump" lapels that we got when we donated to the Trump campaign, and then we also bought a couple of buttons, and we were gonna wear them, but we forgot, so we'll wear them next time. But it's funny because I think I talked about this before. I used to have a McCain sticker on my car back in 2008, and I wasn't really that nervous about having anything happen. But today, I would never have a Trump sticker on my car, especially where we live. It would not go well. And our neighbors really love us, and I wouldn't want to, to have them not love us all of a sudden just because of my political view. But yeah, it's becoming really dangerous and really scary, actually. Speaking of dangerous and scary, it's kind of interesting because part of the reason all of this is happening is obviously because the media is flaming all of this, and so much misrepresentation, and just a lot of misrepresentation about specific people who are Trump supporters, right? And I think we talked about this all the time. And it started with Roseanne when she had her hit show. They had to take her down, and now it's moved on to Allan Dershowitz, who I personally am a huge fan of. I have been following the guy literally for years, and even though I didn't agree with his political views, I think the guy's brilliant. He's one of the most brilliant scholars in America today, brilliant lawyer. Tube trans, it is standard behavior, and that's exactly, if things don't go your way, they claim discrimination. In reality, it's just childish. It's being spoiled. It's not being able to accept, things that normal grown-ups do. That sometimes things don't go your way, and
unfortunately,
you move on. Yeah. How many people were screaming around, Obama not my president? Very few. Yes, there was a movement of people that said that he can't be president because he's not born in the U.S. And, that was a pretty big controversy. But when you compare those, very small number of people who would actually say that, but got a lot of airtime in the news media, when you compare that compared to what's happening now and all these crazy riots with thousands and, people on the streets screaming, not my president, really shows you that basically they're just spoiled, immature, children that never grew up, that are not willing to accept defeat when it happens. It's really sad.
Hi, Triumphant Wolf.
Hi.
Thank you so much.
And yes, her lyrics share our demeaning. Very sad. And I think the thing that's sad for me personally is I just heard that one song. I'm sure I heard other songs of her, not knowing that they're hers. But what is it? The What? Right? The What song? Which I'm not going to say what it stands for. I'm sure you guys... WAP? WAP, sorry. The WAP song. Shows you how much I know. But, I was just thinking, most of the people who are listening to her are, maybe not most, but a lot of her audience is probably Black themselves. And so, when they're listening to this, it's kind of demeaning to her own community, and demeaning to all the people who are listening to this. And it also just really, this is what women are good for, specifically women of color. It's really sad. And it really, in my opinion, perpetuates this, problem, this inequality that people are feeling constantly because they personally feel less than because no one is actually building them up. When the only thing that they have going for them is, their bodies and, brands or whatever that they're wearing. It's really sad, basically. I would really love to see people stand up and say, hey, people, let's get an education, let's do this, let's do that, be entrepreneurs.
What about those songs?
So,
Justin, you bring up a really good point about, conservatives leaving California.
That's actually such a great... You know what? Here's the thing, Justin. I think, and this is really, really sad, but I really think it's true. I don't think California is flippable in the next 20, 30 plus years. I just don't think it's possible.
Wow.
And it's really sad to say because, I grew up here. I mean, I grew up in California and
I'm fourth generation Californian.
Yeah. And, it's really sad to say because what's happening today with the policies, the reason why conservatives are leaving is because they can't afford to stay here. They're not willing to stay here. And what's happening is a lot of people who make money are basically saying this state is literally stealing my money, to help pay for a whole bunch of, illegal aliens who are coming to the state en masse. And, they can't afford it anymore, literally. While illegal aliens are getting free healthcare, my mom, for example, has to pay for hers. Hers went, tripled in price. She's getting way less than what she used to get in terms of the services offered. And it's really, really hard. It's really hard to survive in the state, especially when you're seeing your property taxes go up. Taxes are constantly going up. It makes it very, very difficult when you realize that the money that you're putting into the system is not actually coming back to you, right?
Yeah.
The potholes are not being fixed.
The roads are still terrible.
The roads are still terrible.
If anything, they're getting worse and worse. More money's coming in, but the roads are getting worse.
Forests are mismanaged.
Yeah.
The water is horribly, just horribly mismanaged to such an extent that it really is just incredible how mismanaged the water is here.
You just drive up the 5 and you just see all of this water being wasted.
Just totally wasted. And we drove up and down all the states, the entire state, and literally, small highways, big freeways everywhere. And you really see the way that California is just wasting tons and tons of water. And so when you're putting all of this together, you're saying, why would I want to stay here to support someone, that I don't want to be here because they're breaking the law? And then what happens, all these people are coming in. As a result, also a lot of them turn to crime, which is a huge problem in San Francisco and other cities in California. And so people just don't feel safe.
Yeah. And people lose hope.
And people lose hope.
A lot of people are losing hope.
And then what happens is we're seeing a lot of the illegal aliens who are here are having babies and, what's called anchor babies. And I think in California, the rate of births is like 70%, Hispanic or, minority birth. And, minorities, as we know, generally vote more for Democrats. So I just see this problem getting worse and worse for conservatives. Even though I am very, very optimistic, because we are seeing Republicans, and more specifically Trump, making huge inroads with the Black community and the Hispanic community. So hopefully I'm wrong, hopefully something happens and something changes. That's really the hope, and that's the goal.
Mm-hmm. Well, it seems like we have a lot of people from California. So
how cool.
Justin from California, 75 Skittles, you're from California.
Hi, Lynn.
Tube Trance is also from California.
How cool. It'd be fun to do like some kind of a California get-together at some point.
Yeah.
I would love to do that at some point.
Yeah, that would be a lot of fun. Yeah.
Maybe when, all of this craziness is over, we'll be able to do something. I think it'll be so much fun.
Oh, thank you, V. Parker.
V. Parker, thank you so much. Wow, thank you.
What is your take on...
What is your take on California governor's claim that the fires are due to climate change instead of addressing forest management or arson?
Well,
it's...
Yeah.
I think that's the problem, right? Because it's this constant perpetuation of false information. Whether you believe in climate change or you don't, right? It really doesn't matter in this specific case, because what's happening is that you're literally, the forests have been mismanaged. For years and years and years, people were supposed to...
Oh, Cher, thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Cher. Oh my goodness, that's so sweet. Thank you. For years.
I love the sticker you picked
Yeah,
too.
the sticker is really fun.
It's very cute.
It's really cute. Thank you. For years, the California forests have been mismanaged to the point where people have been saying we need to go through. We drove through the state. We've seen so many dead trees everywhere.
Yeah.
And we go to really remote areas. We go to forests. We love.
We love nature.
We love nature. Really, really love nature.
Don't let all the makeup and all the sparkles
fool you.
We really love nature.
And so we see it firsthand. And I think when people live, in cities, they don't notice it to such a large extent of how much real death there is around the state when it comes to plants.
Yeah.
And so instead of admitting the fact that, hey, we have mismanaged this for so long, and admitting criminal activity that is, either based because of, hatred towards the U.S., and we actually, speaking of illegal aliens, a couple of the arsonists were actually illegal aliens. And instead of admitting that, because it's politically not convenient for the governor, he's saying it's because of climate change. And again, if you believe in climate change, you could say that climate change, is perpetuating this problem and is making it worse. But the reality is that these fires did not start as a result of climate change. Yeah. They didn't get worse as a result of climate change. It all happened because of human activity that's not related to carbon emissions. So,
yeah. Well, also, too, another thing that I find very interesting is with the fires. I know in Oregon, we used to live in Portland, is that a lot of trees were
That's
dying.
Really interesting, Tube Trends. I'm sorry to cut you off.
That's okay.
That's really interesting. I didn't know that, and I'm definitely going to check out on whether Clinton enacted some of the laws stopping or reducing forest management practices back in the 90s. I'm fascinated to learn that. If you have any links, please send them my way, and if not, I'll look it up myself. That would be really interesting to know. Sorry, I cut you off.
So in Oregon, they had a problem with the trees, so they ended up planting even more trees, and then when they planted those trees, there was too many trees, and then they had problems with the fires because it was densely
they grew densely, or they were densely
with the trees, and then they had to go in there and they had to cut down trees. So it's a huge problem with the forest. They have to be managed. If not, it creates a huge problem.
And it's actually interesting because living in Oregon, we were actually able to see how Oregon in many cases actually managed their forest, and they did clear the trees and burnt a lot of the dead trees. And when you were driving through the forest through the 97, which is a very dry area around
Bend, Oregon.
Klamath Falls,
all through there.
You saw every 30 feet, small little fires where they were burning the dead trees.
And they do it every year.
And they do it every year.
Yeah.
Now, we know that Oregon has also suffered huge fires a few years ago and again now.
Yeah.
But again, it's all due to arson.
Yeah.
So, and back a few years ago when we were still there, it was arson, and it's arson now. So, what can you, I don't know. It's just, we need to talk about that, because a lot of people truly believe that it's all climate change. And I'm seeing my friends, again, who are Ivy League, educated people, posting this on their Facebook. I don't know, what you guys are seeing in your Facebooks, but a lot of people think it has to do with climate change, and it's just not the case. Again, not saying that you can believe it's real or not real, but that's not what's causing these fires.
Yeah, it's just not relevant to the actual fires that are happening at this moment.
No, exactly. But thank you for that information regarding Clinton. I think that's fascinating. And if that is really the case, I mean, oh my God, that really changes things and turns this whole idea of fires caused as a result of climate change on its head completely.
Triumphant Wolf, your comment about Antifa doesn't exist. I don't know where it exists. Clearly it exists.
You know what? Speaking of Antifa, this is really exciting. We'll talk about this a little bit later. But Trump, we all know that Trump has said that he's going to designate Antifa as a terrorist organization. But today he announced that he's planning to. So the official announcement has not come today yet. But he's planning to announce that both Antifa and the KKK are going to be considered terrorist organizations. So hopefully, once that happens, Antifa really will not exist in the U.S. because the U.S. authorities are going to be able to go after Antifa members and accuse them of treason and terrorism, which I think would be great.
It is a very real organization. We actually did a video on our YouTube page about it. Unfortunately, we had to take it down.
We did,
So
we did a whole video about Antifa.
We do have some clips floating around on the internet about it, but on YouTube that video had to be taken down.
It was very I don't want to say controversial. It's just we talked about what is happening and just the facts. But unfortunately, as we talked about, being flagged, it's a real problem, and we had to take it down, unfortunately. So it is what it is. They are very intertwined, actually, both Antifa and Black Lives Matter. And I was actually going to say that I would really hope that Black Lives Matter would be designated as a terrorist organization too, because they're starting so much of the violence that we're seeing today. And again, the idea of Black Lives Matter is really beautiful, because Black lives do matter, obviously. And as do all lives matter, and blue lives matter, and all of that stuff as well. But specifically, Black Lives Matter. Specifically in the sense that a lot of Black people do feel disenfranchised, and that should be addressed separately from everyone else. I agree with that. But the movement itself, it's a racist, anti-Semitic, Marxist movement that literally just a couple of days ago took out, if you went to their website, they talked about being Marxist, wanting to disrupt the idea of a nuclear family, and really wanted to concentrate more on the idea that, every child is everyone's child, this tribe child idea that Hillary Clinton had back in the 90s. And basically, they took it off of their website because they're getting so much flack for it. And they're really promoting a lot of scary and dangerous idea. This is not a movement that's based on actual Black lives and protecting Black lives. This is a movement that is designated to really socially reconstruct our country, and that makes a huge difference. This is where I draw the line.
Fundamentally, changing the structure of it.
So,
yes, Cher, I do agree with you. He is definitely the perfect president for the time. Things are changing, and we will see what happens in November.
We will see what happens, and also it's kind of amazing just how much he's been able to accomplish in such a short amount of time, and giving all the obstacles that are being put in his way. So, for me, seeing all of this, I remember at the very beginning, people were making fun of Trump because he said, I'm such a great negotiator, and people said, well, what has he done? A year and nothing has happened. And I remember the panic that Republicans felt having to pass the tax cuts because, it literally seemed like nothing has been done. And today, you really see that all of those negotiation tactics that he holds are really working. I mean, the guy is amazing, truly amazing. So I'm just impressed. Really hoping that things go well in November.
Yeah.
But yeah, so speaking of November, speaking of Trump,
yeah,
Allan Dershowitz, which I am a huge fan of. And just loved him. I've been following him for years. Again, I wasn't politically, I don't agree with him in a lot, but I think the guy's truly brilliant. And one of the reasons why I respected him so much is because when he did argue for, left-leaning Democrat talking points, he argued with facts and, real logical analysis. Very little feelings were involved when he was talking. That's something I really respect. And so, Allan Dershowitz filed a $300 million defamation lawsuit against CNN, which for me was I couldn't have been happier with this because we don't really watch TV that much, but I remember during the impeachment, what we watched was just horrendous, the way that they treated him, especially since he was a correspondent at CNN. At some point, and basically, the second he decided to defend Trump, for as a result of a moral obligation. Again, he was a Democrat strategist practically. I mean, really, supported Hillary Clinton and endorsed her during the election. And when the impeachment happened, he just said, "I, as a law scholar, cannot sit by and do nothing and just let this happen because this is just not constitutional what's happening." And so he filed a lawsuit against CNN for distorting his words, to portray him as an intellectual who has lost his mind during Trump's impeachment trial. And as a result, he was made fun of on all the nightly talk shows, Tonight Show, Late Show, all of those shows made fun of him. He was, was kicked out of a lot of his circle of friends, Martha's Vineyards, where he would spend a lot of time there. No one wanted to have anything to do with him. He lost a lot of his accolades that he's received. People just took them back. Organizations took them back as a result. And of course, CNN aired a misleading footage of him basically saying that when a president does something that he believes is in the public interest, and it's also going to help him get reelected, does not make it an impeachable offense. Meaning, if you're doing something that you think is going to help you get reelected, but at the same time, it is for the public, benefit, that's not impeachable, which is what the Democrats were claiming. And of course, that's ridiculous because you could say that about, anything that any president at that point then decides to push, whether it's an investigation against corruption, which is what Trump tried to do at the time, or passing a policy such as a healthcare policy or a tax policy. So that was absolutely ridiculous, and they aired a lot of misleading image showing him basically saying that Trump can do whatever he wants as president. That was basically the big idea of it, and obviously that's not at all what he said. That's not the case, and he's suffered greatly as a result of it. And so I am beyond happy he's suing. I really wish that more conservatives and Republicans would do this. Obviously, he has the know-how. He also has the funding, and a lot of people don't. But I'm truly, truly, truly hopeful that if Trump wins this election, I'm really hopeful that conservatives are finally going to wake up and they're going to push hard and start suing these these companies, these organizations, whether they're media companies or high-tech companies that are censoring conservatives, that are misrepresenting them, that are shadow banning them. All of these things, I would love to see, some kind of legislation passed to stop this, as well as, I'd like them to have some real punitive damages as a result of what they're doing. It's interesting because he's suing basically for $250 million in punitive damages and $50 million in compensation. I don't know where this is going to go. I don't know if it's going to work or not. I really hope it does. We'll see. So we'll see. But also a kind of important thing to say regarding Allan Dershowitz. Like I said, I am a huge fan of his, but he's also being sued at the moment by a Jeffrey Epstein accuser, a woman by the name of Virginia Roberts Giuffre, who sued him because she said that sued him for calling her a liar because she said that she had sex with Allan Dershowitz on behalf of Jeffrey Epstein, and he countersued her for saying that she's lying and making this up, because of his supposed support for Trump. So we'll see where this is going. We'll see what's going to happen. I really hope that the allegations are not true because, like I said, I really love the guy, even though I don't agree with him politically, and I'm really, really hoping the allegations are not true. If they are, it's going to be very, very sad. So
Yeah. Well, time will tell.
Time will tell. Yeah. All right. What is it? I completely agree. The ban on critical race theory are steps in the right direction. I think we're starting to see them fighting back. What happened is, I think it's very hard to do these things in your first, in your first 4 years, because a lot of what he's gonna, potentially do could seem controversial, right? The idea that you're, gonna pass some kind of legislation that prevents high-tech companies from censoring or discriminating against conservatives, can seem like a dictatorship move, which obviously it's not the case, but I could see it being painted that way in the media. Look, Trump is a dictator. He's telling, these high-tech companies how they should, behave, what they should be doing. That's not the case. I think at this point everyone agrees that any big high-tech company, Twitter, Facebook, all of those social media platforms, including just Google, are basically, it's like a public square. So Google has now become something that everyone uses to search results. And if you can't find real results, if they're based on your personal preferences or preferences that Google would want you to see, then they're doing a disservice to the American public. So it's going to be really interesting to see. Like I said, I really hope he wins. My biggest worry is that he wins, but does not have a majority in the Senate and in Congress, and that's going to definitely cause a lot of difficulties for him and a lot of issues. So we'll see what happens. Luckily, there are executive orders. He's been using them like nobody's business, left and right. Normally, I'm very much against abuse of executive orders, but I think in Trump's case, he just didn't have a choice, right? I think from the very beginning, Democrats have made it clear they don't want to work with them. And it's really interesting because I remember Mitch McConnell saying, let's make sure that Obama is a 4-year president, one-term president, and people said, look, he doesn't want Obama reelected, he doesn't want to work with him. No, all he said is we'll work with him when we can, but we want to make sure that next time we work much harder to, so he doesn't get reelected. When in reality, Nancy Pelosi said that basically they've been working on the impeachment since day one. So literally since the day one, they've been working on impeaching the guy. And now with all of this stuff that's coming out regarding the Russia hoax, we're finding out that actually, Hillary Clinton had more support from Russia than Trump did. It's, again, no one's really talking about it, but that's, really the case. So, and of course, Biden is getting a lot of help from China. This is, I don't know. We'll see what happens.
I just want to say for all the people who are just joining us now, I don't know what you guys can see, but I just saw our view count go up. Thank you so much for liking this video. It really does help for other people to see the video. Oh, Tube Trans. Thank you, Tube Trans.
Thank you. We really appreciate you. Thank you so much.
Very much so.
Wow.
So all of your thumbs up and your comments really do make a difference. As well as your gifts, because what YouTube does, it promotes it and pushes it in the algorithm so that other people can see it as well. So thank you.
Thank you, guys. We hate having to say this every single time.
I know, I feel
like
I'm a broken record.
And we even talked about this earlier, and we're like, should we say this? Should we not? Because we don't want to, we don't want to seem like we're constantly saying this. But the thing is, it's really true. It really helps.
It does.
And anyone new that joins us, we want them to know. It really, really does help us. So thank you so much. Yes, the debate is coming up, and we cannot wait for the debate.
Hi, Lily. Shabbat Shalom.
Hi, Lily. Shabbat Shalom. Yes. So yeah, very, very interesting. We're living in very, very interesting times. It's going to be fascinating to see
Very
where
much
things
so.
go and what happens.
Yeah.
Yeah. Should we talk about the next topic?
Yes.
Yes? Florida.
Yes.
Okay, so this was really, really interesting for me. I remember being actually kind of upset when Florida voters overwhelmingly approved the new proposition that basically allowed ex-felons to vote. The reason why I was really upset is really from a personal and selfish reason to some extent, because I realized that a lot of the felons are actually supporters of the Democratic Party, and that's, so for me it was a bittersweet moment. Obviously, you want everyone to have a second chance. You want people to be able to vote.
Yeah.
It's the American way. On the other hand, I feel like, these people are being manipulated and really taken advantage of by this party. And so, had I been in Florida, I would have also voted for it, even though, I know that the people that would get to vote would probably not vote the way that I would. And in a state where elections are so close, it really makes a huge difference. Especially since I don't know if those are correct statistics, but I read somewhere where it was like 800,000+ people who are now eligible to vote as a result of this. So 800,000+ people who were not able to vote before are now able to vote, and in a state that where Bush won by less than 500 votes in 2000, it really makes a difference, right? It makes a huge difference. So when that happened, it was really interesting to see how that's going to affect the Florida voting patterns.
Oh yeah.
But since that happened, Republicans also passed legislation that basically said that if ex-felons want to vote, they have to first pay their debt to society, which I think is fair. I think that's very fair for people to pay their debt to society, especially if they've served time and committed crimes. That's
Hi,
part
John.
of it. Hi, John. Hey. And so part of that was basically if you have any fines that you haven't paid, any money due or whatever, basically you have to pay that before you're able to vote. Which again, a lot of people, and in some cases you might say rightfully so, said that it disenfranchises a lot of the poor who come out of the system, because they go into the system because they're poor, they come out of the system, which makes it more difficult for them to find jobs, which makes them more poor, which makes it more difficult for them to pay. So totally see both arguments, both sides of the argument. But I thought it was a good idea just because I do believe that people should pay their debt to society when they commit crimes. And so, part of that is financial debt. I think that's fair. But the interesting thing is that since the coronavirus,
Miss Rona.
Miss Rona, I keep doing this. Since Miss Rona happened, the interesting thing is that Republicans have almost closed the registration gap between Democrats and Republicans. And that is something that is fascinating to me because Democrats in many states generally hold much greater party registration affiliation than Republicans do. Democrats are more likely to register Democrats. Republicans just don't want to register as Republicans for many obvious reasons. Some people are afraid that it's going to go on a list somewhere, and eventually the government is going to go after them, which as we're seeing is becoming less and less far-fetched. When you hear some of the things that Kamala have said in the past, and you hear the things that the squatter are saying today, and Maxine Waters are talking about, so that makes a lot of sense. And a lot of people just don't want to be known as Republicans, for fear of retribution within their communities or really anywhere else.
Yeah.
So it makes sense. But since Miss Rona, yes, exactly, Lily.
Lily, sorry, we don't know. Lily, your comment on Bloomberg.
Yes, exactly. So basically what happened is voter registration for Republicans has skyrocketed, right? I mean, they are doing amazing. And actually, they've pretty much closed the voter registration gap, which I think is fantastic, right? And what happened is that historically, the gap between Republicans and Democrats is huge. But since that happened, Republicans have actually been able to register something like 56,000 new Republicans, just in the last month alone, which is an astounding number. And today, the Democratic advantage is at fewer than 185,000 people. Now, that might sound like a lot, 185,000 people, because it really is, like I said, especially in a state where, Bush won with less than 500 votes.
Yeah.
But that's only 1.3%, and that's according to the Florida Division of Elections. So 1.3% is really nothing when it comes to the registration, because a lot of people, like I said, don't register, even though they affiliate themselves with Republicans. So I think it's kind of amazing that they've added actually 58,000 new voters. And what's interesting is that is a 91% increase since 2016. So think about it. Even despite what's happening today with Ms. Rona, they're actually able to register more voters today than they did in the first when Trump ran for office in the first place.
Oh, thank you, Justin.
Thank you, Justin. Oh my goodness. Yes. Okay, we will definitely make this happen. Especially, thank you so much, because now we know that people want to make this happen.
Yeah.
I guess what we'll do is we'll just ask, where everyone is, and we'll try to find some kind of a central location. I think it'll be really fun.
Yeah.
It's really cool because every once in a while we'll get a comment and people will say, oh, come to Texas, we'd love to see you there, or, come here, come there. And I don't know, I just think it would be really, really cool to do, Well, one of those days we'll pack our Prius and, grab our...
Yes, we have a Prius.
We have a Prius V. And, we love to travel and we drive all over the country. In 2 years, we put in like 100,000 miles on it.
Yeah.
So, we really needed to save a lot of money on on gas. And so we'll pack our dogs and, we'll make it happen. We'll go wherever in California, because I think it'll be so much fun.
Yeah.
It'll be really, really cool. And, maybe we'll even, I don't know, we'll do it in drag, out of drag, we'll see.
Yeah.
But I think it'll be awesome.
Yeah.
So
That'll be really fun. That'll be really fun.
Black Voices for Trump is doing a really good job for registering. They really do, and it's really interesting because despite, again, all the negative press that Trump is getting regarding the black community, him being racist and all of this, one of the things that we talked about in our podcast regarding what Trump has done for black communities, our hairdresser who was able to, she saw it in her own life.
Yeah.
How much money she saved. She saved nearly $1,000 from taxes. Was able to open a second space.
Yeah.
And she's a big supporter because she sees, what happened. And I think a lot of people now are seeing their lives improve, tangible improvements.
Yeah.
Real improvements, not feel-good improvements, but
Right.
tangible
Right.
improvements in their lives. And so, people are starting to wake up and they're saying, wait a second, this doesn't make sense. A lot of what I'm hearing versus what I'm seeing doesn't make sense. I'm getting more money, every paycheck after the tax cuts, yet I'm told that I'm going to be paying more. That's not true. Then at the end of the year, a lot of people got more money back as well. So not only were they paying less, but they also got more money. And it was really interesting to see, because I remember during tax time, a lot of people were complaining that they had to pay taxes more than they did or got less. And a lot of people had to explain basic math to them by saying, hey, when you get less money taken off of your paycheck, that means you're going to get less money back at the end of the year when you file your taxes. That's kind of basic math. But Democrats don't like math, when it comes to that. So
Jenny,
so this is actually really interesting because I have the statistics, Jenny, regarding how many registers are switching. And so Ryan Tyson was a Republican pollster.
Perfect
and
timing, Jenny.
Strategist. Perfect timing. He's a Republican pollster and strategist. He has a data, his data analytics team found that 119,000 more people, more Democratic voters switched registration to Republicans or independents. So I don't know how many of them actually switched specifically to Republicans, but 119,000 people, more people. Obviously, there was more than 119,000 that switched. But when you compare how many Republicans switched to independent or Democrat, versus Democrats that switched to independent or Republican, 119,000 more Democrats switched, which is a huge and monumental number, in my opinion, when it comes to this.
It's a lot.
So, you know, I'm cautiously optimistic regarding Florida. There's a few really cool cool numbers that are coming out of Florida. You know, and it's really interesting because in 2016, Democrats had held a voting edge in terms of party affiliation and registration of 327,000 voters. This year, the Republicans have been able to reduce it by 44%. Like we said, it was, I think, less than 185,000. So that's almost, you know, they've almost cut that in half. And Trump was able to win, not by huge margins, but, you know, with a 1% margin. And he was able to win Florida, which, you know, those numbers are definitely going to help him, I think, this year, especially with the onslaught of negative attack ads that are happening against him. And it's really fascinating because Hillary Clinton, I think, outspent Trump like 7-1 or 5-1. I don't remember the exact numbers. We know that Biden is outspending Trump right now, minimum of 4-1. And a lot of the Democratic nominees for Senate and Congress are outspending their Republican counterparts. And it's very interesting because the races, with all of the money that the Democrats are outspending Republicans, the races are actually really, really close in a lot of those cases, such as North Carolina with Lindsey Graham. A lot of people are super excited about the fact that he might lose this race because it's so close with his Democratic challenger, but no one's talking about is the fact that he's being outspent like 7-1. You know, so that really tells you a lot about how much money and how much manipulation Democrats need to do in order to actually get an edge this election. Yeah. So, but that was a great question. Thank you.
Lily, thank you for your compliment on our wigs.
Thank you.
I actually do our wigs, so thank you for that. It's just a lot of work, so I'm glad glad they look good because they can go wrong real fast.
Real fast, they really can. Yeah.
And Justin, do you also do drag? I'll make sure my husband and I are in drag too. Are you?
Do you guys do drag? How cool! Oh my goodness! If you guys do drag, I would love to see like a photo or something. I don't know how that could happen. That'd be so cool. Yeah, it'd be so much fun. See. This is what I think is really cool, right? I talk about being openly atheist all the time. A lot of the people who are watching us are very, very religious, whether Jewish. But a lot of specifically Christian religious people who are watching us, and they are
of older Christians too,
and a lot of older Christians
in their 70s, 60s, 70s. It's amazing.
It's really incredible. The interesting thing is they are super supportive of us, right? Like super supportive, and I mean really just incredible, warm people. And so it's very interesting because not only are we atheists, but we're gay and in drag, and so when you think of all of that, you would think we would get a lot of discrimination and just negativity from this group based on what we're told we should expect from religious people, but that's not at all the case. And so if we were to do this, I think it'd be so cool if we would able to get a whole bunch of people who are people in drag, us, you and your husband would show up in drag. I'd be, it'd be such an honor to have a whole bunch of, Christian religious people show up as well.
Yeah.
And just have a conversation with us.
Yeah.
It could be like a really fun, really fun party.
Yeah.
Really, really fun party. So yeah, wow, how cool. I love that. Yeah, they do. Zane puts so much effort into these wigs. And not just these in a lot of our videos, and it's funny because we had to learn from scratch, and so you could see definitely in the beginning of our videos, the very first ones. I think we said the catalyst of our channel was what happened to Roseanne. And we came out with a video, one of our first videos was Roseanne, and you could really see the difference in what our wigs look like,
terrible wigs,
our
terrible
makeup, our clothes, really everything. And as we do this more and more, we learn, we grow, we get better.
Lily, I definitely agree with you. The right is more accepting than the left. I'm finding this out more and more, especially coming out with my walk away video that I came out with 2 years ago. It's just the amount of support that I've received, not just from Republicans and conservatives, but also like Christian. It's just, it amazes me. It really does.
It's really cool, and I think
Yeah.
one of the coolest thing that I've seen that I thought was in our last live. I think it was Tang, who was going to the hospital, and she asked everyone to pray for her, for the children in her hospital.
Yes.
And so at the end, I think it was Annie,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Who said, I prayed for the kids, and I just thought it was so cool, right? Because it's
Yeah.
like they don't even know each other, right? And she's asking these group of strangers to pray, and some people really did, and again, maybe I as an atheist don't believe it works, but who knows,
Yeah.
right? And I think in general, it's just there's good vibes, good energy.
Yeah.
Maybe it works.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know, right?
Yeah.
But I just think it was so cool just seeing people
Yeah.
really come together. It was, I don't know, it was very heartwarming. Really, really heartwarming.
Oh, definitely. We have Christians asking us all the time if they can pray for us, and absolutely, even though we don't believe that they're, whatever our own personal beliefs, prayers, good vibes, absolutely. Like, they'll take
Oh, yeah.
any positivity
Any
as
pos- yes.
possible.
Yes, definitely. So, thank you.
So, what made us pick the specific colors for our wigs?
I don't know. We have a whole bunch. These just kind of we decided to.
We
do
wanted
them
to do a
one
blue and red theme, even though it's not like really like blue and red. It's there's a little bit of green I have, and you have a little bit of pink and
Yeah.
purple. That was the
Our dresses are blue and red, and so we definitely knew we wanted to do a blue and red.
Yeah.
And then this was, the closest, I guess. We do have some red wigs, but they weren't working with this outfit, so we thought this would work, and that's kind of what made us choose it.
yeah.
So, but you commented regarding Mike Bloomberg and what's happening, and this is something that I'm really fascinated about. I don't know what is going to happen. I can give you kind of my take on it, but it's really interesting. So the Florida Attorney General Ashley Moody called for a criminal inquiry into Bloomberg as a result of their governor Ron DeSantis' request. She said there's definitely something to look into it. Now, what people are saying is, look, you're donating, $16 million to pay for 32,000 ex-felons. That really, there's something that you should look at. And I think the thing that made Republicans take a look at it really deeply is the fact that, obviously, we talked about this earlier, a lot of these felons are going to be voting blue this year, right? They're going to be voting Democrat. And so they called on this inquiry, and the organization that pays for the bailouts and pays the fines or whatever that people owe of ex-felons said that it's absolutely ridiculous because they have 44,000 individuals who contributed. Now, Michael Bloomberg happened to contribute, I think, $16 million. LeBron James contributed like $100,000. A few other celebrities contributed quite a bit of money. So it'd be very difficult to do a review of 44,000 people. And then, of course, if you review Mike Bloomberg, do you need to review people who donated $5, $10, $30? Where does the line stop? So I don't know if this is really going to go anywhere. And I don't know if this is just a kind of like a political conversation that conservatives are trying to have because, they're seeing everything that Democrats are doing, and they're pouring just insane amounts of money, just really insane amounts of money.
Yeah.
And Republicans are, as a result, lagging behind because they don't have the huge donors such as Bloomberg in those large numbers, right?
Yeah.
Soros, Bloomberg, and others. They have their own Adelson and but they are contributing much less than what these other billionaires are contributing. And of course, since the passing of RBG, Ruth Bader Ginsburg, they're seeing a huge surge in donations as well.
Yeah.
So I think Republicans are just sounding the alarm and saying, hey, something needs to happen here. The other thing that I think is causing this potential investigation is the fact that Mike Bloomberg said that this is not going to help. The $16 million that he's donating are, of course, he said, not going to go towards bailing everyone. It's only going to go towards bailing Hispanic and Black ex-felons. And so the question now is, if you're only going to go for Hispanics and Black, potential voters, it seems like then you're going to expect from them to do something for you, right? Because you're not choosing randomly who you're going to help. You're picking people specifically, and there's kind of like an understated, underlying understanding that these voters are now expected to vote Democrat.
Well, like Lily said, they're bought.
Exactly, they're buying votes.
Yeah,
Lily, that's a great point. Yeah. And Justin, I agree with you. He is, and it's really sad because I lived in New York when he was mayor of New York, and he did a great job, I think, in his first 2 terms in New York. Not so great in his third, and I don't know what happened, to be honest with you. I don't know what happened. He went from a Republican to Democrat, and I think what's happening is in New York he had to go independent because it was obvious that Republicans cannot win the city, and it's very, very sad because look at the way New York was before Rudy Giuliani when they had Democratic leadership and how dangerous of a city it was. Look at it after Rudy Giuliani as the Republican mayor, and even after Mike Bloomberg, also Republican mayor, and then look at it now. And even before, the 2016 election, New York was just going downhill very fast, and rich people are fleeing en masse. And, now they don't know what to do to get them back. And, the rich people are not interested in coming back because, they're realizing they're being screwed.
Yeah.
They're being screwed by these, democratic regimes, if I can call them, in these states. So I don't know what happened. My only guess is that with Trump's rise, basically, he's a disruptor. Even though he ran as a Republican and he obviously cares about Republican issues, he's really a disruptor and he's disrupted the system. He, came and said, look, the system is extremely corrupt.
Wait, hold on a minute. I don't know what happened. The quality went really bad. I just want to make sure that everybody can still see us. So just comment in the chat that you can still see us and everything is still fine, because what I see on the screen right here is really really bad quality. So just give us a thumbs up and letting us know that you can still see us.
You can still see us, yeah. Okay, thank you.
Okay, good. Okay, everything's fine. Still looking good. Okay.
Thank you, guys.
Then it just must be my just me and my computer. I also okay, good. Thank you, Cher. Thank you, Elizabeth. Thank you, Lily.
Too.
Oh, good. Thank you, Skittles.
Thank you.
I also wanted to quickly go back to, while I have a moment here, on John's question. Do you guys ever plan on doing non-political videos? We do. We actually have a separate channel where we do Eurovision. This year's Eurovision was canceled, so we didn't continue the Eurovision series. But we do non-political videos over there. And
you can also see a whole bunch. So when we started our channel, we did political videos because that is a huge passion.
Yeah.
For me, and drag is a huge passion for Zane as well, and then another passion for both of us is Eurovision.
Yeah, we love Eurovision.
I grew up watching Eurovision. Zane lived in Europe. She got really into Eurovision as well. And we have been watching it together. We just love it.
Yeah.
Eurovision, for those that don't know, is the biggest singing competition in the world. It's basically European countries coming together and singing. And it was started after the Second World War as a way to get a lot of these countries together in a non-political way because there's so much conflict. And since then, it's grown to, I think the biggest competition was 46 different countries. From Europe, from the Middle East, from North Africa and Asia. Now Australia is a permanent contestant as well. And so we just love it. And if you go back into our videos, you'll see we did a whole bunch of videos on our channel.
It's really cool because they really make it a purpose to be non-political. Like the whole entire event is supposed to be nothing political, which was really cool because last year it was in Tel Aviv.
Yes, Israel won in 2018. So the 2019 contest was held in Tel Aviv, which was beyond exciting, beyond amazing. Such a great contest. Yeah.
And then Justin, so very cool. You do Japanese pop art stars and Princess Peach. And of course, Dorothy from Golden Girls. Justin,
cool!
I would really love to see photos, or maybe you could put it in the comment section, your social media, or I don't know if you have like public photos or what, but I'm really
love
curious.
to,
I would love to
or
see.
if you're trying to stay incognito, you can email us or something.
Yeah, I would love to see.
It would just be so cool. Yeah, we love the
really
Golden
fun.
Girls. You know, Dorothy Spornak. Love it. Yeah. So it would be really, really cool.
Eurovision talk.
Yeah. The entrepreneurs. That's true, actually, Lily. Yeah, regarding the Sound of Music. Yeah, I love Eurovision.
Yeah, and a lot of stars have come out of Eurovision as well too.
Celine Dion actually performed in
Yeah.
Eurovision. That's how she got her career.
And
going.
ABBA.
ABBA, of course, was Eurovision. There's
Yeah.
a lot. So it's kind of very, very cool. And
It's
for
our-
us
it's our guilty
especially,
pleasure.
it's our guilty pleasure. And it was really awesome because the winner in 2018 was Netta Barzilai.
Yeah.
And it's very cool because it was always thought that Israel could never win with today's climate. And so for them to win was incredible. And
Yeah.
even though very, very few countries gave it the highest mark, which is 12 points, enough people gave it, middle marks where it actually pushed it to first place, which is awesome because every year there's huge movements to give Israel 0 points in the
Yeah.
competition for political reasons,
Yeah.
even though it's supposed to be
not
non-political.
but
So,
it's, yeah.
yeah, we were very, very happy.
Yeah.
But yeah, Bloomberg, going
Yeah,
back to that,
yeah.
really
Get back to
crazy.
the politics.
Really crazy. And I don't know, I do think there's some merit in checking this out. Again, if he hadn't said that he's doing this and picking and choosing who the money is going to go to,
Yeah.
I don't think there would be anything Republicans could do about it. And there's probably not much they could do about it now, but it definitely warrants at least a look
Yeah.
and to see. In general, what's happening in Florida is very concerning and very scary. What's happening there because I feel like Democrats are really trying to manipulate the system to benefit their cause, and that's what's happening now. Let's throw money at it and let's manipulate as much as possible.
Yeah. and
That scares me.
A lot
Yeah.
of money. A lot of money.
Yeah, that really scares me. So. Done with Florida. Oh, I actually forgot to talk about it. I was going to say almost done with Florida. This is actually something that I thought was super cool because aside from all of everything we just talked about, I just saw a poll recently about Florida, which is really cool, and where Trump is actually ahead of Biden. And the thing is regarding Florida is we've been seeing a lot of polls where Biden is ahead of Trump, and so the one of the polls that came out showed that Trump is actually leading Biden by 1%, or by 3 or 4%, 3 or 4%, and he's leading him by 1% in Michigan, which I thought was just amazing for Trump to be leading him in Michigan. So we'll see. I think there's a lot of underground currents that are happening right now where the tides are shifting, and we're just starting to see the first kind of samples of those tides shifting, and we'll see whether it's going to continue or not. And I think what's happening too is basically Biden's strategy of being in the basement. He couldn't continue to do this, and so what's happening to him is the same thing that happened to Hillary Clinton. Basically, the more people got to know her, the more they said we don't want her.
Yeah.
And so I think with Biden, you're seeing the same thing, and that's why it was so brilliant for him to stay in the closet. And now, obviously, all of the interviews that he does are using teleprompters. He doesn't answer questions unless he has the answer on a teleprompter. It's really a joke, and I think the more people see it, the more they get turned off by it as well. So
Yeah. Okay.
I love doing that. That's really fun.
All right. Our next topic for today.
What do you want to RBG or what? Let's talk about Trump conceding because I feel like that was a really big. I feel like that was a really big topic lately because Trump refused to concede.
Yeah, especially goes along with Lily's question. Trump starting many lawsuits of voting fraud.
He has, and that's why I'm really hopeful that.
Hi,
something's gonna be done.
Ting. You are able to join us. We were actually talking
Ting?
about you earlier.
Oh, yay! Hi, Ting. Yeah, you just missed it. We were talking about you. First of all, sorry, everyone. I have to say this. Ting, when we got off when we ended our live video last week, we went through the chat and we were able to read everything.
Yeah.
And it was so cool because basically you were like, okay, guys, I have to go. Bye. and then you're like, I'm still getting dressed, I don't want to go, but okay, bye now. Okay, I'm in my car now, I'm at work in my scrubs, and I'm still listening to you guys. That made our day. It was so cool. So thank you. We remembered it, and we talked about this all week. So I was really hoping you were gonna join us so we can say that to you, because that was really cool. We didn't realize until afterwards. So that was really fun. Really, really fun.
So we're glad you're able to join us.
Yeah, thank you for joining us. That was really fun. Exactly, the Democrats' Skittles, yes. They still haven't conceded the 2016 election. It's really interesting because, Hillary Clinton is literally going on a tour around the country, around the world, saying how, how she illegally lost this election, which is absolutely ridiculous. So why would they expect Trump to concede? I don't understand, especially before there's any votes cast. It's really ridiculous. They're just trying to catch him, and just in case, if the election is really close, they want him to concede right away, and they want to catch him where he says, yes, I would, so that they can, play it later. I'm really glad he's sticking to his guns. He said he's, not going to answer and concede preemptively in 2016. He's doing that now. Nothing's changed. The only thing that's changed is that the only people not conceding elections are Democrats. Like Hillary Clinton, that is unable to, to come to face with the fact that she lost.
Yeah.
And
Lily, you're right. Hillary Clinton did say that.
And saying that Joe Biden should never concede. Tweeting
it's
about
okay
it
for
over
one
and over
side,
again.
but not okay for the other side.
Yeah.
It's
such a double standard.
A double standard. And I mean, that double standard came into play, right away with, Trump's.
It did. It actually really did.
It started with Roseanne. It was like that double standard. And since then.
I think it started a long, long time before Roseanne, actually.
Yeah.
I think it even started before, when he announced that he's running. But yeah, it's a joke. And again, and now I'm seeing all these people writing, that's it, if you needed any more proof, that Trump is going to ruin our democracy, there you go, he won't concede.
Yeah.
Well, Biden hasn't said he's going to concede. Is he ruining the democracy? I mean, at what point does this stop? And I think, we keep finding out that there's more and more, it just more bottom, more bottom. There is no bottom of the barrel. It just keeps going.
Yeah.
And that's very scary to me, because I don't know to what point we're going to get to before we realize that, we have to change course as a country. I don't know.
Is that true, Justin? I did not hear this. That Twitter said they would ban Trump if he declares victory. That's interesting.
Wow, that's outrageous.
Yeah.
It's really sad because they started this new app. What is it called? Parler?
Yeah.
They started this new app called
Which we're
Parler.
both on Parler.
We're both on Parler. It's really a shame because it has a lot of conservatives on it. And it was supposed to be... it was supposed to be kind of an answer to Twitter. Right? It was supposed to be the conservative version of Twitter. And they really marketed it as not necessarily conservative, but as a platform where anyone can say anything without being censored, a true open platform, where unless there's very direct hate speech or threats, basically you could say whatever you want, which was really, really great. Unfortunately, the platform had a lot of glitches, and at this point it became, I think, kind of like an echo chamber, more so than anything. So I don't know. I'm really hoping that conservatives are able to really do something that can compete with these conglomerate high-tech companies, because
like
obviously
Twitter, like Facebook,
it's really scary, because now this company has the power to basically shut down a president of one of the freest countries in the world, the leader of the free world, if he declares victory. That's outrageous if that's true. I really hope it isn't. And if it is, and if they do it, I hope they sue their pants off. I really, really do. I hope they sue them. I hope, and it's a problem too, because, the only way to do something about it is if, conservatives come together and say, you know what, we're out, we're not going to use your platform anymore, we're not going to be a part of this. The problem is that if they were to do this, they would probably incur more losses than gains as a result of this, because they won't be able to get their words out. So, we're really stuck in a hard place here between between basically trying to avoid using these platforms and using them to spread our message.
I don't know. Between a rock and a hard place.
Yeah.
Definitely.
You know, and we're feeling it here,
Yeah.
given the fact that YouTube is kind of our main social media platform, YouTube
Yeah.
and TikTok. We're really feeling it here, you
Yeah.
know, and that's why we have to be so careful
Yeah.
with everything that
And
we
the
say.
thing is we feel like we're just like hammering it every time that we talk about it, or we're like a broken record saying, you know, like the censorship or shadow banning or whatever. In reality, it's happening, and
Yeah.
it's just at this
It's-
point
we see
it
it.
is what it is. You know, there's really nothing that
There's-
we can do about it.
There's basically no point of complaining about it. So, you know, when we talk about this, we're not complaining. We're just sharing. And
Yeah.
I think especially as more, you know, new people join us, we get asked a lot of questions. And so we want people to know a lot of the
Yeah.
reasons why,
Yeah.
you know, we can't talk about certain things or
Yeah.
say certain things. Those are the reasons.
Yeah.
We've figured out, you know, certain things that that flag us, and, you know, we're trying to avoid them. That's basically what it is. So yeah, I think this whole you know conceding thing is ridiculous. It's another made up thing, and what I think really bothers me is that no one actually came to Hillary Clinton or Biden and talked to them about them conceding
Yeah.
and what it means, you know, to say to someone, don't concede under any circumstances, because that's basically what you said. Under any
Hi,
circumstances.
Juniper.
Hi, Juniper. Hi. You have a question about your 14-year-old? Interesting. John, yeah, you TikTok, but TikTok actually has such a huge number of conservatives who are active in it. And what even more interesting, I think, to us was we've discovered that's basically where all the millennials, where all the Zillennials are,
Yeah.
right? The new generation. And it's really, really interesting because all of these Zillennials, some of them are, you know, some people are saying it's the most conservative generation in history, and most conservative in the sense that those that are conservative hold extremely conservative views. I think in overall number of conservatives versus liberals, it's actually not the most conservative
Yeah.
generation. But what we found is that by doing these TikToks, we actually were able to reach a lot of really young people, you know, teenagers, people who are 14, 15, who are, you know, just now getting into politics and have been told one thing, and all of a sudden they're seeing this other point of view. And,
Yeah.
you know, these are bright people who are, you know, thinking for themselves, and we're seeing real conversations happening with these kids.
Yeah.
And so it makes me hopeful for what happens when they're 18 and they're able to vote. And the other thing is, too, again, a lot of 18 to 29-year-olds are there as well.
Yeah.
And that is their main platform. So for us to be able to have a conversation with them, it's so
Yeah.
important.
It's actually very interesting because your friend, our friend, actually works for TikTok, and she was overwhelmed and she was taken back by how many conservative TikTokers are out there.
Yes, she actually, it was really interesting. We saw, she posted on Facebook to all of her liberal friends, and she said, guys, wake up, you know, what the media is lying to us. There's a huge passion and enthusiasm for Trump. I'm seeing, you know, I'm seeing people supporting him all over TikTok. That's basically all TikTok is. You know, a lot of Trump supporters were talking about it, and, you know, that's the only platform they use. You know, they don't really use other platforms to such an extent as TikTok.
Yeah.
And basically,
And then-
she's saying, wake up, because, you know, people just don't know. You know, they think that Biden has it in the bag, or...
And this is somebody who actually worked for TikTok
Yeah.
in LA, so.
So that was really, really interesting. But yeah,
That's off base.
Oh,
So Juniper, your question,
what was...
how do I support him? I'm supposed to be asking questions.
Oh, wow. Wow. Okay, this is a little off base, but you know what? That's a great question. First of all, I commend you for asking us and being open-minded about it. You know, your son basically questioning and, you know, and you wanting to find out what to do, I think is incredible.
Yeah. And how to support him.
And how to support him.
Yeah.
You know, I think the only, you know, the best way probably to support him would just be to be there for him. You could talk this with him, you know, talk this through him, and you can ask him questions. You know, and I could tell you, him questioning really means nothing if he's 14. Because as a guy, I could tell you, I had a lot of guy friends who, specifically at that age, 13, 14, 15, I think pretty much every man, they're probably, you know, would not admit it, but at that age, every man goes through a period where they're questioning. And I spoke to a lot of my friends when I was that age who who told me that they were scared, like genuinely scared, that they might be gay because they weren't sure what's happening with their bodies. So him questioning could mean a lot of things. Number one, it could mean that maybe he is gay, maybe he's bi, maybe he's not. But it could also mean that he's just going through something, feels incredibly close to you, and knows that you're open-minded and willing to ask these questions. So I would look up maybe books and give him a book.
Yeah.
I would also introduce him to people who you would consider to be good role models for people of the LGBT community, so that he knows who to follow, because a lot of people who are questioning, the role models that they see are not necessarily the best role models around. So do some research and find people that you would want your son to look up to and see in that regard. I think that would make a really big difference as well.
Juniper, to answer your question, I came from a family who was not accepting at all. So I think the most important thing you can do is to listen and to love him no matter what. And Lily, I like what you said. Tell him you love him.
I love that, Lily.
No matter what. And that, I think that's the most important thing that you can possibly do.
Yes.
Tell
him you love him. I would find some really good movies that you guys can watch together that have a representation of LGBT people, more specifically youth, because that's something you could connect to. So that's what I would encourage you to do.
There's so many
resources. So I would find maybe movies with people that, whether they're questioning or just love stories, because I think that's really going to help your son realize, okay, is this something, as I'm watching this, am I relating or not? I think that's going to help. And there's a lot of really wonderful literature about this as well. And I could tell you, from my experience, I had a very hard time figuring out, myself as well. And a lot of times, when you question, he could be attracted to both sexes. Which was my case, and that made it really, really difficult because I didn't have anyone to talk to. I didn't have any direction to go. So I didn't know what's happening with me. How could I be attracted to both? If that's something that he's able to talk with you about, I think that's just going to help him. Knowing that he doesn't have to decide. It doesn't mean anything yet. He has all the time in the world, and even whatever decision he takes today, it could be a completely different decision 10 years from now. Right? At the end of the day, it's who we are, what we are as people. No one cares what we have between our legs. No one cares, who we like and who we choose to share our lives with, as long as these people are good people. That's really what matters.
Yeah, Justin, it's also sorry to hear about your mom, and that is. And it is very, it is very, very special to hear that a mom is doing, what she can to help.
It's really, 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 it means a lot to us. Is it? You're showing us? It's really, no.
Oh, that's fine. Okay.
Yeah, okay. It really means a lot to us knowing that you're there, and it's actually kind of cool too, because especially with your walk away video, a lot of moms and dads are commenting too about the things that their children went through, and so we're seeing that clearly the pendulum has swung the other way of acceptance, and I love that. And now I think my goal as a member of the LGBT community is basically to say that just because you belong to this community does not mean that now you have to have this, monolithic way of thought. And I think that is probably the greatest gift that you can do for your son, is for him to grow up, because he's essentially going to be accepted, if he is gay or not, he is going to be accepted by other, people that, probably share his sexuality. And most of those people are probably going to be extremely, extremely liberal. They're going to have one very monolithic thought, and it's important that your son is able to make his own decisions, and if he chooses to believe whatever they believe, it's fine, but keep an open mind, and that's why I think it's so important for you to find role models that he could look up to I think it's going to make a huge difference.
Yeah.
And it is such a huge compliment that you consider us role models and shared our links with them. Thank you so much. That's just a huge compliment. So, yeah.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Juniper.
Oh, very cool. Wow. Very, very cool. So, yeah. Okay. Back to the concession. I think that's ridiculous. I think we pretty much covered all of it. One of the things I wanted to talk about was, my hope is that he's not going to need to concede. I'm hoping that it might not be as close.
Somebody actually asked, the comments, I'm not able to keep up to them, but somebody actually asked what conceding means.
Oh, conceding means basically when you back off an idea or an act, or when you think that something is going to when you expect something to happen and then it doesn't, and you basically admit it. For example, in Trump's case, if he were to lose, right, he would expect to win, but if he were to lose, he would then concede the fact that he lost. He would agree with the fact that the outcome is not what he wanted, and that's basically what conceding means. Conceding during an argument means that you're conceding
You're like, okay.
a point of view, right? When you're arguing and you're realizing that you were wrong. In this context, it means conceding, basically saying, okay, I get it, I didn't win, and leaving
And
the
the
stage.
other person won. Yeah.
Right. Thank you, Juniper. That really means a lot. We love you too. Thank you. Yes, I'm so glad you asked this question. I'm really happy that people are supportive and engaging with that question, even though it is off topic. I love it. So thank you.
Yeah.
Back to politics, there are a few things that I thought were really, really cool. One of them is the Trafalgar Group poll. This is a Republican-leaning pollster, but they did a poll of Michigan where they found Trump winning by 1%. I don't know if you guys have seen it or not. 47 in Michigan for Trump, 46 to Biden. It's actually, to be exact, 46 versus 46.7. But again, this is kind of the first of some of the polls that we're seeing where Trump is actually ahead in Michigan. And it's really exciting because in many polls, Republicans and in general support for Trump is underrepresented. So that could be something really cool. Oh, thank you, Juniper. Wow.
We hope that not only our comments helped, but everybody else's interaction also helped as well.
We really hope it did. Yeah. So I'm beyond excited about this. I'm really worried now about Michigan, Wisconsin, Minnesota, and even Pennsylvania, especially with the with the ballots that are going missing left and right. And I think this is what people don't realize when they're talking about, there's really low scale of fraud, yet we're constantly being inundated with examples of voter fraud when it comes to mail ballots. And of course, every single time they disproportionately hurt Trump, right? I mean, when you have 7 out of 9 ballots going for Trump that are miscounted, of course people are going to be concerned. Of course people are going to be worried. And this is something that's happening all the time. And including, again, ballot harvesting, which is legal in many states. And I think that is a huge concern for fraud. And it's very difficult to catch fraud when it comes to ballot harvesting. And again, after the 2016 election, there were many examples of fraud. And specifically in Florida, where people had to people were fired, had to quit, people were charged. So, as much as people try to downplay it, I think it's actually a pretty serious thing. So we'll see. The Trafalgar poll had a 2.99% error, which is, understandable, about 3%. And the only thing that I'm not sure about, like I said, it's a Republican-leaning pollsters, but the only thing I'm not sure about is in terms of the demographic that they polled. Ages were all appropriate, and these were all random samples. So it's not like they went out of specifically different populations. It's a random sample, but the random sample came up with 13.3% Black responses, 1.9% Latino, which I think the Latino population in Michigan is much higher. I don't know. But I think it is, and of course, if it is, and only 1.9% responded, then that's going to skew the poll in Trump's favor. Asians were 1.8%, and the rest were whites at 81.6, with 3% other. So it'll be really, really, really interesting to see, especially since we're seeing a lot of other polls like the University of Wisconsin. They came out with a poll that said Biden is leading 51 to 45%. So that's a 6-point advantage to Biden. So we'll see. Again, I'm really hoping that these polls are wrong. I'm also hoping that there's time to change, especially with all the riots that are happening, and Biden out of the basement, and people seeing who would be their president and liking him less and less. So hopefully things are going to turn out okay, but it's going to be so close. And people are talking about we might potentially not know for weeks at a time because of mail-in, or months because of mail-in ballots. I don't know. That really scares me, because I think we still don't know who won in Iowa, which is crazy, right? Like 9 months later, we still don't know. So
Yeah.
that is definitely something I think about a lot. Yeah.
Shabbat Shalom, Lily. You have a good weekend.
Shabbat Shalom, Lily. Have a great weekend. I love it. Hopefully we'll see you next week. Absolutely. Yeah. So yeah, and I think we talked about the Florida poll. I was saying that Trump was winning in Florida by a few points. He's actually beating Biden by 4 points. This is a ABC Washington Post poll, which is usually very anti-Trump and very heavily Democratic leaning. So that was something that made me very, very excited, because I saw that Trump is leading 51 to 47%. Again, take these polls with a grain of salt. Obviously, we know they don't really mean anything, but they are a snapshot of a moment in time.
Yeah.
And we're seeing these snapshots, and we're seeing, even I think last time I checked, the ABC Washington Post poll had Biden up by about 4 points. So that's a huge swing in Trump's favor. And again, that has to do possibly with the fact that the Republicans are knocking on doors in Florida and Democrats are not. That probably has a really big difference, because they're registering so many people and really getting out the vote. So we'll see. We'll see if it actually works, and we'll see what happens. And of course, specifically Hispanics in Florida are, really moving towards a Trump campaign in really large numbers, which is very, very exciting.
Hi, Taylor. Glad that you were able to join us.
Hi, Taylor. Hey, you're late, but you're here. Better late than never, right? And the last poll I wanted to talk about was the Mammoth poll of Georgia, which showed Trump leading by 2 points, 48 to 46. Again, I think it's kind of exciting, because the last few polls that I've seen regarding Georgia, Biden was leading by a couple of points, or it was tied. 2 points is nothing. It's more than likely within the margin of error. But these are really important states that, if Trump loses any of these, he's done. So it's really important, that he wins them. And so when I'm seeing these, little snippets of hope, it definitely gives me some hope. Even though I don't rely on the polls. But what I do know is that if they're showing Trump ahead, most likely he's still underrepresented in the poll. So most likely the margin is even better. And that's why it makes me feel so much better. Whereas when I see a Democrat ahead, Biden, or when I saw Hillary ahead back in 2016, I wasn't so sure, because I didn't know how much underrepresented Trump was. But if he's ahead, it doesn't matter how much, he's ahead. So yeah, that was kind of exciting, I think.
Yeah.
Another thing that was kind of exciting for me was today, Trump announcing $500 billion. Almost, I mean, that is just like an obscene number. I mean, that 500 billion with a B. Not,
we were in the middle of getting ready and we saw that and we're like, whoa.
So I wrote a few notes really quickly. I can't wait to read more about this. He announced today that he will announce it in the next coming days. So I'm really excited to see what it's going to look like. But $500 billion for Black Americans. It's called the $500 billion Black American Plan, which also designates the KKK and Antifa as a terrorist organization. I think we talked about that earlier. But the $500 billion that he's talking about are going to go, it's a pledge basically to increase capital in the Black community. So, it's going to go mostly and spent mostly in 4 areas. The first one is going to be creating opportunities for Black Americans. making sure that they have security. So, really tackling security issues that a lot of the Black Americans are feeling, which, by the way, with all the calls to defund the police, it's definitely not going to help. And I think that's why we're seeing the support for Trump almost surge to double digits as a result as well, because not only is he doing a lot, but I think a lot of Black people are not on board with the whole defund the police, because Blacks disproportionately live in unsafe neighborhoods compared to other groups. So who are they going to call when they don't feel safe or secure, right? And then they need to call someone. Usually that's the cops. So opportunities, security, prosperity, making sure that Black Americans are able to actually enjoy prosperity within their communities, and also learn about how to create prosperity, because that is a really large, a big problem. A lot of times when Trump talks about the stock market and how Americans are making money and living better than ever, the Democratic talking points is, what about the people that don't have stocks? What about the people that are not enjoying these benefits? And to me, that's actually very sad that this is what their talking point is. Instead of going to these populations and saying, hey guys, today there are so many apps that allow you to invest with $5. That's it, right? You only need $5 to start investing. Instead of going to talk about that, basically they are trying to keep their constituents down so that they continue to stay reliant on the Democratic Party's generosity. So I think teaching about prosperity and creating prosperity for Black people in America should be at one of the highest importance in this country. And of course, the fourth is to create fairness. This is something that people talk about a lot, specifically when it comes to systemic injustice and all of those. So a lot of the resources that Trump is talking about are going to create fairness within the governmental system, within the justice system, and just in general for Black communities, making sure that they have the same fair opportunities that white America has, and they're able to reach their full potential, just like we are.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So I thought that was kind of cool.
Yeah, amazing.
Yeah. Oh, and the other thing is that $500 million is going to
Billion.
billion with a B. Yeah, is going to go towards creating 3 million jobs for Black Americans. So and 500,000 Black-owned businesses. So again, I think
We're gonna have to do an update on our podcast.
Yeah, we're gonna have to do an update about this. But I mean, that's true, huh?
Yeah.
For what Trump has done for the Black community,
Yeah.
part two. I mean, 500,000 businesses. That's a really tall order to achieve. I think if he achieves that, that would be incredible.
Yeah.
Really, really incredible.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that would make me very happy.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Anything else regarding that subject that I missed?
So?
No? Okay. Well, the next thing we wanted to talk about is the notorious RBG. Obviously, today's her funeral. This is a really big deal.
Yeah.
Everyone is talking about this, and specifically regarding the Supreme Court seat. I'm going to be honest. This woman, she's done a lot, both for women and men. Definitely deserves her place in history. Mm-hmm. I'm really glad that Trump actually paid the respects for her, even though people, I'm sure couldn't have been easy for him, having people, chanting "vote him out" as he was there. And I really commend him for doing that, because I think it really takes a lot of guts. I'm not sure that Biden would have done the same if it was a conservative judge in that position. And he knew that he's going to be met with chants of "vote him out" or whatever else. So very ballsy, very gutsy. I have huge respect for that. Mm-hmm. She was 87 years old when she passed away, and it's kind of cool because she passed away on Friday last week.
On New Year.
On New Year.
Yeah, Jewish New Year.
Jewish New Year, exactly. Yeah, and according to Jewish tradition, or according to the Jewish religion in general, when you pass away on Friday, because it is the Sabbath, right? Jews celebrate the Sabbath starting Friday night. So when you pass away on the Sabbath, which is when she passed away, you're considered a tzaddik. A tzaddik is a righteous person. because the Sabbath is basically our holy day. It's a righteous day that we're supposed to take and rest. And so as we talk about, we're not religious, but we take a social media break and technology break every Saturday.
Turn off those phones.
Turn off those phones. Yes,
it's needed.
Phones. Usually we'll turn off the television unless we're we watch a specific movie. We really try to just be connected. And so it's kind of cool because she's basically righteous. And then on top of that, if you pass away on Jewish New Year on Rosh Hashanah, then you're also a tzaddik. So in that sense, she's double righteous, right? Or double tzaddik, given the day and time that she passed. So it's really, really, really interesting, I think. And it's kind of interesting because there's a Jewish tradition that basically says that it's kind of like a teaching that basically says that if you die before New Year's, then if you die right before New Year's, then you are basically held back by God, because you were really, really needed here on earth. So God held you back to the very last moment of the year because you had so much good to do here on earth, and you were needed the most, and basically because you were a righteous person. So agree with her or not on a lot of the rulings, and I certainly do not agree with her on the majority of her rulings. There's many rulings that I do agree with her, but on the majority, I do not agree with her. I agree with them or with her or not. She was, she was obviously a very, fundamental person as part of our history. I mean, this is going to be something that's going to be remembered forever. And it's interesting.
Like Justin said, you don't agree with her, but she was a legend.
She was a legend. Thank you. Yeah. That's a really great way of putting it. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. She was a legend. Yeah. And even though her dying wish was to not be replaced until the next president, listen, that's not how it works. Yeah. And Trump might get reelected, so it would still be him to replace her. And in general, I'm personally very conflicted about this. Yeah. I'm really curious to know what you guys think. I feel extremely conflicted about this. I obviously want her replaced. I want a conservative judge. I'm very happy about the potential picks that Trump has. And out of respect, he's going to announce them tomorrow. Out of respect for her, he waited the full week, which is customary in Jewish tradition, to sit Shiva on a person, which is very nice. Yeah. So I'm very, very interested to know who he picks, but I'm supportive. Whoever it is, I definitely want a new justice. I do have a problem with the fact that in 2016, Republicans said that no Supreme Court justice should be picked during an election year. And they wouldn't even take up Merrick Garland for a vote. Now, at the time, if they would have argued, listen, we're not going to vote him in, therefore it doesn't even make sense to take him up for a vote, I could understand that. But what they argued was that no one should be elected to the Supreme Court during an election year. And of course, back then, that was 9 months before an election. Now we're looking at, about 4 weeks.
Yeah, 5 weeks.
5 weeks now, that makes it very, very difficult for me from a moral standpoint to agree with this. But having said all of that, I also feel like after Kavanaugh, basically, that's it. All hell broke loose.
Really
Democrats
changed
everything.
Yeah.
You've literally ruined a person's reputation based on hearsay, based on absolutely nothing. You've ruined him for life. He's now...
Not only him, but his family as well.
His family, literally everyone.
Yeah.
Interesting, Justin. Really, really interesting regarding Garland. Very, very, I'm glad you're thinking this way too, because obviously you're not partisan. So it's really, really interesting to know, that you thought they should have confirmed him back then. Anna, do you think they should have confirmed him, or do you think they should have taken up a vote? That's what I'm really interested in. And the thing is, I wish Sotomayor and Helena Kagan were similar to Merrick Garland, and I wish he would have put him first instead of these radical, women who really want to change the system instead of follow it, and not just interpret the law, they want to make the law. And that's something that really bothers me with a lot of Democratic appointees. I do believe that the Constitution should remain intact, and we should have constitutionalists. Interpretations may vary, but we shouldn't, the Supreme Court should not be in business of changing laws. It should be in court of defining them. And that makes a really big difference. And yeah, I totally agree, Justin. At least a vote would have been interesting to see. At the time, I did support the Republicans not even putting him up for a vote, because my logic was like, what's the point? He's not going to get elected. He's not going to get through, so what's the point of even putting him through a vote? And in my mind, there was no point. But now I'm really conflicted, with everything that's happening. But again, had it not been for Harry Reid, going all nuclear, and Republicans warned him at the time, and they said, if you're going to change, Senate norms, and essentially if you're going to nominate judges with a simple majority as opposed to 2/3, it's going to come back and bite you in the butt. And it did. And all of the Democrats who supported this, all of the Democrats who were happy, you were fed a lie, because you were told that Democrats are here to stay, that Republicans are never going to take power again. You were told that you have nothing to worry about, that after Barack Obama, no Republican is ever going to win. Not only did a Republican win, but you got Donald Trump, who appointed more judges than anyone, thanks to the one biggest mistake that Harry Reid did, and I think that's going to be his legacy. His legacy is actually going to be changing the Senate rules to appoint judges with a simple majority as opposed to 2/3. And, again, from a selfish perspective, I'm grateful because now Trump was able to appoint more judges than any other president in history, in just a short 4 years, which is incredible.
Yeah.
And he's changed the courts for a very long time, for at least a generation. So I'm very happy, and I think with that, plus with the way that they treated Kavanaugh, where it was very clear that any rules of decency are out the window, even though from a moral perspective I might have a difficulty having Republicans confirm the new judge, I still fully support it, because I feel like decency and morals were out the window a long time ago, and Democrats are no longer playing fair, and they haven't been playing fair. And what happens is, every time the Democrats don't play fair, eventually Republicans take advantage of the rules that they change.
Yeah.
And it comes back to haunt them, and this is one of those cases.
Yeah, Ting, a very interesting theory that you think that that she didn't say that the Democrats are making that up.
I don't know. I actually did see an interview with her where she said something. She didn't say that directly, but she said something along the lines of, "I am here to stay. I'm not going anywhere. I have at least another 8 years in me to make sure that Trump doesn't replace me." I'm paraphrasing, but that was something that she said. So,
but if it was her wish or wasn't her wish, and if the Democrats made it up or didn't make it up, it's really
I love it.
It's irrelevant, though.
It really is irrelevant. It doesn't matter, because essentially, she did pass away, and this is what's happening. And also, Trump is right. With everything that's happening, it's very possible that the Supreme Court would have to decide the outcome of the election. You can't have a 4-4 Supreme decision. It has to have a majority. Unfortunately, because of the rule changes that the Democrats put in place, now it actually benefits Republicans. So next time you want to stack the courts, as a lot of people are saying, if this is going to get through and Biden wins, they want to stack the courts. Well, you'll stack the courts. It'll play in your benefit until Republicans get back into the White House, and they'll stack it against you, and then pass legislation that forbids court stacking. So it's just not worth it, Democrats. You end up losing every time. It just takes a while.
Yeah.
But it comes back to haunt you.
Yeah, I triumphant wolf. I love that. It's not the Make-A-Wish.
I love it. Yes, absolutely. This is not the way. I love that. That's a really great point.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is kind of where I'm standing with this. I'm now supporting it, and again, like I said, especially after what happened with Kavanaugh, I'm supporting it. But when I first heard it, I really did have a hard time kind of figuring out where I stand on this. So I'm really happy that you guys are sharing your opinions, because I tend to agree with a lot of you. Mm-hmm. All right. Yeah, Justin, you're right. The Senate was voted in to uphold Trump's agenda, and that's yeah, I agree. It's going to be really interesting. And again, what I am excited about, not that it matters, but I am excited that Trump chose a woman to replace her. Again, I don't think that gender should really play, have any kind of a play here. But just from a symbolic perspective, especially replacing someone such as the notorious RBG, I think it's nice that it would be replaced by a woman.
Yeah.
I think it would be great. whoever it is. I think it would be really fantastic. And the other thing that really scared me too, potentially, specifically, is the reaction of Democrats to the passing of AOC. You know, to the passing of RBG, because because I watched a clip of AOC basically saying, you know, let this moment radicalize you. Let this radicalize you. You know, and people are using words such as, you know, instead of let in rest in peace, you know, let this start a revolution. You know, this is something that really scares me, because Democrats are openly calling for radical engagement in politics. They want people to be radicalized, and this is why they're pushing these protests. This is why they're pushing this destruction. And that's something that really scares me, because that's not the America that I remember growing up in. That's, you know, even though, yes, we've had riots and, you know, America has had a very difficult past, but for the most part, America is a peace-loving country. And so, you know, having this destruction and riots, and it's very sad because a lot of the people who are hurt are actually, you know, black business owners themselves, and black people, black officers, right? So many black officers are being called Uncle Toms, are being verbally and physically assaulted. So, you know, this is what they're creating, and this is what they're causing. And frankly, I don't think there's going to be a stop to it anytime soon. I think, if anything, if Trump gets reelected, it's going to get worse. And so this is why what we're doing, I think, is so important, because we're really, you know, it has to start on the ground, and I'm hoping grassroots, and I'm hoping that us and others can make a change.
Bring back the dialogue.
So that was it in terms of the topics that we wanted to talk about.
Well, you guys, we have been live for 2 hours now.
This is the longest live we've had.
Yeah, this has been absolutely amazing. I just love going through all of your guys's, you know, comments and engagement, and I just I love throw those cards.
Yes, this is my new thing now. I love it. I'm gonna be doing this every time. I love it. Thank you for noticing.
So we have had a lot of fun today, and we just are so grateful for you guys joining us every Friday. And I think
thank you guys for joining us on this journey. For those that were able to stay with us all this time, thank you so much. We really, really, we love doing this. It's, you know, instead of like a Shabbat dinner, we're having like a Shabbat conversation, and it is so much fun. So I can't wait to go back and read all of the the comments on the chat.
That's what we do afterwards, because I'm trying to get through, read all of them, but then we read them all together, and it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun.
And again, thank you guys so much for the thumbs up. We keep saying this. It really helps us. Thank you guys for commenting in the comment section as well. You know, we're going to say this over and over again, so, you know, we're going to sound like a broken record. Apologize in advance. It really means a lot, and it really helps. And so that's why we do this.
And fingers crossed, we will be able to come out with our podcast this Monday. It all depends on YouTube and uploading it.
The podcast is done. Both parts are done.
So we're just trying to upload it to YouTube, and it takes a while, so it will be there.
Yes, if everything goes well.
What we're trying to do is we're trying to come out with podcasts every Monday. So we'll come out with YouTube Live every Friday, and then our podcast where we go really in depth and talk about everything every Monday.
So join us on Monday morning, hopefully, if everything goes well. Because we'll
it'll be 9 a.m. Monday morning.
We'll do a premiere, and we'll chat with you guys as the podcast goes on. It's really fun, and I'm looking forward to your guys' opinions. So it was like a brunch date. It really was. It was a really fun brunch date.
Our Shabbat brunch date.
I would love that, Triumphant Wolf. We actually talked about this earlier regarding doing some kind of like a meetup, get together once all of this craziness is over. You know, there's a lot of people from Cali that we would love to meet. And we also got some people, you know, asking us to come visit other states. So I don't know if that would be possible, but we would love to do it. You know, just pack up our car with our doggies. You know, do a little road trip, hit the road. That would be so much fun. So.
Okay, you guys, Shabbat Shalom.
Thank you guys
enjoy
so
your
much.
weekend, and we'll see you guys Monday. Hopefully, if we can get it up on Monday.
Yes. Thank you guys so much.
Bye.
Bye for now. See you Monday and next Friday.